A Buddhist temple stands at the foot of a mountain, bathed in soft golden light. The tranquility of the place is palpable, the only sound being the wind rustling through the trees. Inside, an elderly monk, his hands shaking with age, kneels before an ancient statue of the Buddha. His face, a canvas of wrinkles and wisdom, reflects both reverence and unease. The air is heavy with the weight of centuries of history, yet a faint sense of unease stirs beneath the calm. Suddenly the statue, once solid and eternal, begins to tremble. A crack appears along its face, spreading rapidly, until with a thunderous crash it falls to the floor, its face shattered. The monk stares at the broken pieces in stunned silence, his heart pounding in his chest. He whispers softly, as though speaking to the broken Buddha itself, "The world is changing. But what is left of us?" His voice quivers with fear, uncertainty, and a deep unspoken question. Arjuna, the young monk, walks the hallowed halls of the temple, his steps echoing in the silence. His mind, usually calm, is now a whirlwind of doubt and confusion. For years, he has followed the strict teachings of asceticism, believing that through discipline and meditation, enlightenment would be his. Yet lately, that belief has felt increasingly hollow. The temple, with its ancient stones and sacred rituals, feels stifling, as though it has trapped him in a cycle of repetition. He passes by the rows of statues and incense, but his gaze lingers only for a moment before moving on. He feels as though something deeper is missing, something he cannot define. The truth that once seemed clear now appears distant and elusive. He stops for a moment at a window, staring out at the vast mountain beyond, as though seeking an answer in the stillness of nature. Arjuna stops before a large window, gazing out over the temple gardens. The still pond reflects the sky and the distant mountains, but the surface is disturbed by the faint ripples of a breeze. His reflection merges with the scene in the water, and for a moment he is unsure where he ends and the world begins. The garden, once a place of peace, now feels like a prison. He questions the teachings he has followed all these years. Has his journey brought him closer to enlightenment, or has it only distanced him from the truth? As the ripples spread, so does his doubt, expanding outwards like a growing storm. He wants to know more, to understand what lies beyond the teachings of the temple. His heart yearns for a deeper truth, something that cannot be found in meditation alone. As Arjuna stands by the pond, lost in thought, he is interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Venerable Shashi, the temple's abbot, approaches with a calm demeanor. His wise, aged face is full of understanding, yet there is a sadness in his eyes. He places a hand on Arjuna's shoulder, offering both comfort and authority. "The path ahead is not easy, Arjuna," he says, his voice carrying the weight of years of experience. "But you are ready to lead. The temple needs someone to guide the younger monks, to show them the way forward." Arjuna feels a knot tighten in his chest. He has never felt more unworthy of such a responsibility. How can he guide others when he feels so lost himself? The weight of the abbot's words presses down on him, and he is left to ponder the meaning of leadership and the expectations placed upon him. As Venerable Shashi walks away, Arjuna is left standing by the pond, his thoughts swirling. He cannot shake the feeling that there is more to the teachings than what he has been told. The words of the two monks he overheard earlier about a hidden scroll, filled with secrets of enlightenment, linger in his mind. He cannot ignore the pull of curiosity, the need to know more. He wonders if the scroll could hold the key to unlocking a deeper truth, one that transcends the teachings of asceticism and meditation. Yet, he knows that seeking it could mean going against everything the temple stands for. Arjuna's heart is torn. Should he follow the path of tradition, or venture into the unknown? Arjuna stands at the edge of the temple's pond, watching as the last rays of the sun slip behind the distant mountains. The water before him is still, like a mirror, reflecting the fading light of the day. His thoughts churn like the faintest ripples in the pond. The calmness of the surroundings only amplifies his inner unrest. He is deeply torn between what he has been taught and the yearning in his heart for something beyond. The words of Venerable Shashi, asking him to lead, echo in his mind. How could he guide others when he feels so uncertain? The pull of the hidden scroll grows stronger with each passing day. Arjuna wonders if the teachings of the temple, so rooted in asceticism and control, are enough to answer the questions gnawing at his soul. He wonders if true enlightenment can only be found outside these walls, in a knowledge forgotten by time. That evening, as Arjuna roams the temple's hallways, he overhears two monks deep in conversation. They speak of an ancient scroll, hidden in the forbidden archives, containing teachings that contradict the path of asceticism. The scroll, they say, holds the key to a deeper understanding of enlightenment, a truth beyond meditation and self-denial. Arjuna's heart skips a beat. The very idea of such a secret contradicts everything he has been taught, yet it feels as though it might hold the answers he seeks. The monks discuss the scroll with reverence and fear, knowing that its discovery would be both a blessing and a curse. Arjuna listens intently, his mind racing with possibilities. Is it worth risking everything, his position, his beliefs, and his peace, to uncover this forbidden knowledge? The temptation pulls at him like an unseen force. Unable to resist the pull of the secret knowledge, Arjuna finds himself standing before the ancient doors of the forbidden archives. The air inside the archives is heavy, filled with the scent of aged paper and incense. The room is dimly lit, with long shelves stretching into the shadows, each shelf crammed with scrolls and books that seem to whisper of forgotten truths. Arjuna steps inside, his heart pounding in his chest. His fingers brush along the spines of the scrolls, each one a doorway to something deeper, more profound. He knows that what he seeks is hidden here, and though a sense of dread clings to the air, his desire to know the truth is stronger. Arjuna moves cautiously, seeking the scroll mentioned by the monks. The weight of his decision presses down on him. There is no turning back now. After what feels like an eternity, Arjuna finally finds the scroll, hidden beneath a pile of forgotten texts. Its parchment is yellowed with age, the edges frayed and worn. He unrolls it slowly, careful not to damage its fragile surface. The text is ancient, written in a script he can barely decipher, but the words seem to come alive as his eyes trace their meaning. What he reads is not of the Buddha, nor of the teachings of asceticism, but something older, an ancient path to enlightenment through detachment, sacrifice, and the destruction of the self. Arjuna's breath catches in his throat. The teachings are radical, demanding a level of surrender he has never been asked to give. To follow this path, one must abandon everything, even the very humanity that defines existence. It is a path that leads to enlightenment, but also to the loss of everything he holds dear. He is torn, unsure whether to embrace this forbidden knowledge or discard it as heresy. As Arjuna reads further into the scroll, a dark realization settles over him. The teachings are not just a deviation from the path he knows, they are a call to destroy the very essence of who he is. The path to enlightenment here is not about balance or harmony. It is about surrendering all attachment, even to one's own humanity. Arjuna can feel the weight of this knowledge pressing against him, threatening to tear apart the foundation of his beliefs. The scroll seems to offer a shortcut to the ultimate truth, but at a cost that may be more than he can bear. Can he truly walk this path, knowing the sacrifices it demands? As he carefully rolls the scroll back up, he realizes that he has uncovered something both dangerous and powerful. The decision before him is not just about knowledge, but about who he will become, and what he is willing to lose in the pursuit of ultimate enlightenment. Arjuna cannot stop thinking about the scroll. Its teachings have burrowed deep into his mind, and each moment he is awake, they haunt him like a whisper he cannot escape. He finds himself walking the temple grounds, restless, his thoughts constantly returning to what he has learned. The path outlined in the scroll seems to promise a deeper truth, one beyond what the Buddha's teachings have ever offered. But with every passing moment, Arjuna feels the weight of the cost. The scroll speaks of detachment in its purest form, abandoning the self, the very thing that defines existence. It is not merely a teaching, but a radical departure from everything he has known. He asks himself, Can he give up everything, even his own humanity, to achieve the ultimate enlightenment? His heart trembles at the thought. The scroll's words have set a fire inside him, a burning need to understand whether this path can truly lead him to the answers he seeks. Unable to quiet the storm inside, Arjuna returns to the forbidden archives. The scroll calls to him, its presence felt in the very air of the temple. This time, his decision is clear. He must understand the full extent of the teachings, even if it means venturing deeper into forbidden knowledge. As he unrolls the scroll once more, he feels both exhilaration and fear. What he reads next is even more radical. The path of enlightenment described here is not about attaining peace or harmony, but about completely severing all connections to the world. To achieve true freedom, one must release all attachment to family, community, and even one's own identity. Arjuna's mind reels at the enormity of the choice that lies before him. He begins to question whether he is ready to sacrifice everything, his very humanity, in the pursuit of enlightenment. But the pull of the knowledge is undeniable. He cannot turn away. The teachings in the scroll continue to consume Arjuna. The more he reads, the more he feels the tension within him grow. There is no going back now. He is bound to this path, whether he chooses it or not. Every word he reads seems to strip away the life he has known, revealing a stark and unforgiving truth. The scroll speaks of the necessity of destroying the ego, of abandoning the very sense of self that makes one human. As Arjuna delves deeper, he begins to understand that this form of enlightenment is not peaceful or gentle. It is violent, demanding complete annihilation of the person he has always been. He must surrender not only his desires and attachments, but the very core of his identity. The teachings are clear. Only by completely severing his ties to his humanity can he achieve the purity of true enlightenment. But at what cost? Arjuna's mind is in turmoil as he realizes the enormity of the sacrifice. In the stillness of the archives, a deep silence settles around Arjuna as he finishes reading the final teachings of the scroll. He feels both enlightened and shattered. The knowledge contained within it has opened a door, but the world on the other side is dark, cold, and unfamiliar. The teachings are clear. To walk this path is to sacrifice everything. There is no return, no way to undo what he has learned. Arjuna stands, rolling the scroll carefully, as though handling a fragile, dangerous thing. His thoughts are a blur, his heart racing. Can he really follow this path? Is this the truth he has been searching for all along, or has he stumbled upon something that will consume him? He knows that once he steps down this road, there is no turning back. The question now is not whether to pursue this knowledge, but how to reconcile it with everything he has been taught. Can he continue to live as he has, knowing what he knows? Arjuna spends the night walking the temple grounds, lost in his thoughts. The world around him feels foreign now, as though he has crossed into a realm where nothing makes sense. The scroll's teachings are etched in his mind, a constant presence that cannot be ignored. As he walks through the temple gardens, the sound of his footsteps seems hollow, and the beauty of the temple feels like a distant memory. His entire existence is now defined by the knowledge he has uncovered. The teachings of detachment and destruction of the self have become a heavy burden, one that threatens to overwhelm him. He realizes that he has not just learned something new. He has uncovered a truth that changes everything. The scroll promised enlightenment, but in the process, it has shown him a path that leads to the erasure of everything he holds dear. He is left wondering whether the pursuit of truth is worth the sacrifice of self. Arjuna emerges from the archives, the forbidden scroll clutched tightly in his hands. The moonlight outside feels colder than it ever has before. His thoughts are a jumbled mess. He has discovered a truth that threatens to unravel everything he has ever known. The teachings of the scroll continue to echo in his mind, telling him that to achieve true enlightenment, he must sever all ties to his human existence. The weight of this knowledge is unbearable, and yet he cannot seem to let it go. As he walks through the temple courtyard, lost in his thoughts, he is suddenly confronted by Venerable Shashi. The elder monk's eyes are filled with sorrow as he looks at Arjuna, sensing that something has changed within him. Without a word, Shashi steps forward, his gaze steady, and filled with understanding. Arjuna, he says softly, you have uncovered a path that was never meant to be followed. The truth of the words lands like a stone in Arjuna's heart. Shashi's voice breaks the heavy silence. The scroll you found, Arjuna, is not a gift. It is a test, a trap set long ago by those who understood the dangers of such knowledge. The words strike Arjuna like a blow. The scroll was never meant to be found. It was hidden to protect the purity of the teachings, to guard against the dangerous temptation of enlightenment through destruction. Shashi speaks of the past, of monks who once sought this forbidden knowledge and how they were consumed by it, their minds and souls torn apart in the pursuit of a truth that could never be fully realized. The scroll's teachings, he explains, offer a path that destroys everything, even the human soul, in the name of enlightenment. Arjuna listens in stunned silence, the weight of the truth slowly sinking in. His desire for the deeper truth has led him down a road that could cost him everything. The scroll was never meant to bring him peace. It was meant to break him. Shashi's voice continues, filled with quiet sadness. The true path to enlightenment, Arjuna, is not through destruction, but through letting go of desire, of all desire. Even the desire for enlightenment itself must be surrendered. Arjuna's heart shatters as he realizes the terrible truth. The path he sought, the one that promised to answer all his questions, was not the way forward, but a dead end. It was a path that led to nothingness, to the destruction of all that makes him human. He feels a deep sorrow for what he has uncovered, for the dangerous path he almost chose. Shashi looks at Arjuna with compassion, his hand resting gently on the young monk's shoulder. True enlightenment does not come from force, from detaching from the world around you. It comes from the surrender of desire itself. Peace, Arjuna, lies in letting go of the self, not destroying it. Arjuna's mind reels as he absorbs these words, the burden of his discovery now a heavy weight on his heart. As Arjuna stands in the courtyard, the weight of Shashi's words settles over him like a fog. He feels as though the ground beneath his feet is slipping away. His entire quest for truth, for deeper knowledge, has been a lie. The scroll promised him a shortcut to enlightenment, but in the end it only offered destruction. He had sought something more, something that transcended the teachings of the temple, and now he realizes that it was never about seeking more. It was about letting go of everything. The truth was always within him, but he could not see it, blinded by his own desire for something beyond his reach. Shashi watches him with a quiet, knowing gaze, understanding the pain Arjuna feels. The true path, he says softly, is not one of force or destruction. It is a path of surrender, of inner peace. Arjuna nods slowly, the reality of his journey settling in. The scroll is gone now, burned in the sacred fire. But the truth it contained will stay with him forever. The morning bells toll, signaling the start of a new day. Arjuna sits alone in the temple, the weight of the past few days heavy on his heart. The scroll, once the object of his desire, is gone, burned in the sacred fire, along with the temptation it offered. Arjuna now understands that enlightenment does not lie in the destruction of the self, but in the quiet surrender of all that clings to the self. The temple bells toll again, and Arjuna feels a sense of peace wash over him. The chaos in his mind has faded, replaced by a quiet stillness. He realizes that the teachings of the Buddha, though simple, contain all he needs to know. Enlightenment is not a destination to be reached, but a journey that starts within. As the sunlight streams through the temple windows, Arjuna closes his eyes and breathes deeply, the peacefulness of the moment settling within him. For the first time in a long while, he feels at peace with himself. The temple bells toll once more, their sound reverberating through the halls, signaling the dawning of a new day. Arjuna stands alone in the temple courtyard, his eyes closed as the first rays of sunlight touch his face. His body is still, and yet his mind is filled with the weight of everything he has learned. The scroll, the forbidden knowledge, is gone, burned in the sacred fire by Shashi, as both an act of closure and a sign of release. For the first time in days, Arjuna feels a quiet peace settle within him, a peace that comes not from the knowledge he sought, but from the letting go of it. He feels the tension in his chest lift, as if the weight of his quest for truth has finally been lifted. The path he once believed would lead to enlightenment through destruction has revealed its true cost, the loss of self. Now, he understands that true enlightenment is not found in seeking knowledge alone, but in surrendering to what is already within him. As Arjuna sits by the pond in the temple garden, he watches the still water ripple gently with the breeze. His reflection dances on the surface, a constant reminder of the journey he has undertaken. The path he sought was one of knowledge, but it was only when he relinquished his desire for more that true peace began to settle within him. The teachings of the Buddha were simple, but profound. Detachment from desire, from the self, is the true path to enlightenment. As he contemplates the days that have passed, he realizes that the answers were never hidden in some ancient scroll or forbidden knowledge, but in the very essence of his being. The moment he stopped seeking and allowed himself to surrender to the stillness of the present, he found the peace he had been yearning for. Arjuna's heart is light, free from the chains of doubt and confusion that once bound him. He no longer needs to search for answers outside of himself. Arjuna walks through the temple halls, his steps now measured, purposeful. The temple that once felt suffocating and restrictive now feels like a sanctuary, a place of comfort and understanding. The monks he once viewed as followers of an outdated tradition now appear to him as those who have already found the peace he has been searching for. The true path to enlightenment, he understands now, is not about striving for something more, but about embracing what already is. It is not in the pursuit of knowledge or power, but in the quiet surrender to the present moment. Arjuna's transformation is evident in his calm demeanor, in the way he interacts with the monks and the world around him. He no longer seeks answers, for he knows they are already within him, waiting to be realized. The temple is no longer a place of confusion, but a place of deep clarity. The temple bells toll again, their sound now a symbol of Arjuna's new beginning. He stands before the altar, a quiet observer of the sacred space around him. The shattered statue of the Buddha, once a symbol of destruction and loss, has been restored. The broken pieces have been carefully mended, and the statue now stands as a reminder of the impermanence of all things. Arjuna gazes at the statue, his heart filled with gratitude and acceptance. The teachings of the Buddha are no longer an abstract concept to him. They are living truths that he carries within himself. The idea of enlightenment no longer seems distant or unattainable. It is not a goal to be reached, but a state of being to be embraced. The fire that once burned inside him, driving him to seek answers, has been extinguished, replaced by the stillness of acceptance. He has found peace not in the pursuit of knowledge, but in the surrender to what is. As the temple bells toll for the final time, Arjuna stands alone in the garden, the morning sun casting a warm glow over the landscape. He feels the peace he has long sought, not as an external thing to be grasped, but as something already within him, waiting to be realized. The knowledge he once sought through the forbidden scroll, the teachings that promised enlightenment, now seem distant and irrelevant. Enlightenment was never something to be attained through force or knowledge. It was always a process of letting go, of surrendering to the flow of life. Arjuna feels a deep sense of gratitude for the path he has walked, for the lessons he has learned, and for the peace that now fills his heart. He knows that the journey is not over, but for the first time he feels content with where he is. The search is over, and the truth has been found within him. With a final deep breath, Arjuna smiles softly, at peace with the world and himself. The sun rises once again over the temple, casting its first light on the stone walls and the tranquil courtyard. Arjuna stands at the edge of the garden, watching the dawn break with a sense of quiet awe. The path he has walked, the struggles, the doubts, the discoveries, feels distant now, as though part of another life. The teachings of the Buddha, simple yet profound, have begun to weave themselves into the very fabric of his being. He no longer seeks external validation or enlightenment through some hidden knowledge. It is in the stillness of the present moment that he finds peace. The statue, once shattered and broken, now stands restored in the center of the temple. Its features, though repaired, retain the marks of the past, signs of its journey and its rebirth. Arjuna smiles, understanding that the restoration of the statue mirrors his own transformation. It is not the absence of imperfection that brings peace, but the acceptance and integration of it. The temple feels different now, alive with a quiet energy that Arjuna has never experienced before. The monks move through their daily routines with a gentle grace, and the hum of their voices carries a sense of unity. Arjuna feels himself becoming part of this rhythm, not as an outsider, but as someone who understands the deeper meaning of surrender and peace. The garden, the temple, and even the mountains that rise beyond them seem to reflect the changes within him. He understands now that true enlightenment is not a destination. It is a process of continuous awakening. It is not something to be grasped or possessed, but something to be lived, moment by moment. Arjuna's connection to the world around him has deepened, and he moves through the temple with a quiet reverence, no longer burdened by the need for answers. He knows that peace is not found in the search, but in the acceptance of what is. Arjuna sits quietly in the temple's meditation hall, surrounded by the other monks. His posture is relaxed, but his mind is sharply focused. Meditation, once a ritual of striving and force, now feels like a natural state. The thoughts that once crowded his mind now float by like leaves on the surface of a pond. Arjuna no longer struggles against them or tries to control them. Instead, he watches them with a sense of detachment, understanding that they are part of the flow of life, not something to be resisted. In this stillness he feels the presence of the Buddha, not as a distant figure in a statue, but as an energy that flows through everything. The realization settles into his being like a deep, grounding breath. True enlightenment is not about the absence of thought or desire, but about accepting them without attachment, allowing them to come and go freely. This acceptance brings peace, and with it, a sense of unity with all things. Arjuna's journey has led him to this moment of profound peace, but he understands that peace is not something that can be held onto. It is something that must be allowed to flow freely. The restoration of the Buddha statue, the unity he feels with the other monks, and the quiet joy he now experiences in each moment are all reflections of the deeper truth he has come to understand. He no longer feels the need to search, to strive, or to question. The world around him is no longer a place of suffering or confusion. It is a place of harmony, and he is an integral part of it. Arjuna walks through the temple once again, this time not with the urgency of a seeker, but with the ease of one who has found his place in the world. The stone paths are warm underfoot, the air smells of incense and blooming flowers, and the temple is alive with the sounds of peaceful activity. Arjuna smiles, knowing that the journey has never been about the destination, but about the acceptance of each step along the way. The temple bells toll once again, but this time, Arjuna hears them not as a call to action, but as a gentle reminder of the flow of life. He stands at the edge of the temple courtyard, looking out at the mountains that stretch into the horizon. The sky is clear, the air crisp, and for the first time, he feels completely at home. The search for truth, for enlightenment, has ended, not in some grand revelation, but in the simple realization that all is as it should be. There is nothing more to strive for, no further path to follow. Arjuna's heart is light, his mind free from the burden of expectation. He has learned that the true nature of enlightenment is not something that can be grasped. It is something that is already here, in each moment, in every breath. The temple, the garden, the mountains, they are all part of the same flow of life, and Arjuna is no longer separate from them. He is at peace, content in the present, and free from the need to seek. The temple bell tolls, resonating through the still air, a sound of deep reverence. Arjuna stands in the center of the temple, his eyes closed as he listens to the sound. It no longer carries with it the urgency or restlessness that once filled his heart. Instead, it is a sound of peace, of acceptance, and of completion. He has walked the long road of self-discovery, filled with doubt, confusion, and fear, but now, in the quiet of this moment, he understands that the journey was never meant to be a destination. It was simply the unfolding of truth, each step leading him back to himself. Arjuna opens his eyes, and for the first time he sees clearly. There is no longer a division between him and the world. The temple, the garden, the mountains, and even the people around him are all reflections of the same truth, the same peace. He has become one with all things. In this profound realization, Arjuna is filled with a quiet, unshakable joy. He is free. Arjuna walks slowly through the temple, his steps light and unhurried. The monks greet him with nods of recognition, and though they do not speak, there is a shared understanding between them. He is no longer an outsider, searching for answers. He is part of the whole, a member of this peaceful community. As he passes the garden, he stops for a moment to gaze at the vibrant flowers in full bloom. The world around him no longer feels separate or distant. The flowers, the trees, and the birds all seem to pulse with the same energy, the same life that flows within him. In this unity, Arjuna understands that enlightenment is not a solitary pursuit. It is a shared experience, a connection to all things. The pursuit of truth was never about knowledge, it was about the surrender to the present moment, to the simple beauty of existence. In this moment, Arjuna is one with the world. As the evening sets in, Arjuna stands on the temple's stone steps, looking out over the distant mountains. The last light of the day stretches across the landscape, casting long shadows and painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Arjuna's heart swells with gratitude for the journey he has walked. The mountains, once a distant, unreachable goal, now feel like an extension of himself. The world is no longer something he must strive to understand, it is something he simply experiences. The sense of separation has vanished, and with it, the need for ambition. In this quiet moment, Arjuna realizes that enlightenment was never a destination to be reached. It was always about being present, being fully alive in each moment. He feels the warmth of the setting sun on his skin, the gentle breeze on his face, and in this perfect stillness, Arjuna knows that he has arrived. The temple bell tolls once again, and Arjuna's heart responds to its sound, not with a sense of urgency, but with a quiet resonance. The days of searching, of grasping for answers, are over. Arjuna no longer feels the need to ask questions or seek out truths. The answers have always been here in the present moment, in the simplicity of being. As he sits in the temple courtyard, watching the sunset, a deep sense of gratitude fills him. The world, in all its imperfection, is beautiful, just as it is. The struggle to attain something outside of himself has faded, replaced by the understanding that peace is found within. Arjuna's journey has come full circle. He no longer needs to strive or search. He simply needs to be. In this acceptance he finds a deep, abiding joy, a joy that comes not from achieving, but from simply existing. The search for enlightenment has transformed into the experience of it. As the screen fades to black, Arjuna's soft voice echoes in the stillness. Enlightenment is not a destination, but a journey within. We must let go of the self we cling to and trust in the silence. His words are gentle, but filled with wisdom, as though he is speaking to the core of the human experience. The sound of a distant bell resonates as the final notes of his voice fade. In this final moment, Arjuna has come to understand that enlightenment is not something to be found, but something to be lived. It is the quiet surrender of the mind, the acceptance of what is, and the letting go of the need to control. As the darkness envelops the screen, a sense of profound peace lingers, leaving the viewer with the understanding that true enlightenment lies not in the pursuit of knowledge, but in the simple, profound acceptance of life as it is.